we're gonna keep repeating that process until we get this side over here built up to grade, and then we're gonna use that for a road like I was saying. So more What's up, guys? We are out here plugging away at this pond again. We're doing about a 2-acre pond project. It's gonna be really cool. We've actually got about an acre of this pond done. I got a few parts I'm gonna flip back on and show how we developed the core of the levee, how we keyed it in and developed the levee and designed the first part of the pond. So we're gonna take you guys through the process. For starters, video part 1, we're gonna show you how to prep. We'll go through the design phase of it. We'll go through cutting in our keyway, designing out our levee, designing out where we want depths, running through the thought process to set up production. How are we gonna do this pond efficiently and make it to where we can work, even if we get some rains coming in, make it to where we won't hold a whole lot of water unless we want to go ahead and start a deep end, etc. Purpose of having a good core and a good keyway is for 2 purposes. The keyway, the best way I can explain it is to lock the levee into the existing soil, to the existing ground. If you think about, you got a slope, and if you just took and started putting this dirt up on top of some grass or whatever, and you put all this weight of this water on top of it or pushing up against it, you got nothing to really hold this in place, and you run the risk of pushing your entire levee out. So you cut that keyway in, which I'll show you right here what a keyway looks like in a levee, so you get a good idea of that if you're not familiar with it. The whole purpose of it is to lock that dam in place, lock the levee in place. Now, the second reason behind it is to create that keyway, or that jagged pathway, as you'll see in the drawing there, to prevent water from being able to seep through a seam. And what I mean by a seam is taking your naturally compacted ground that you have and placing new virgin ground on top of it. You're going to have this seam between the 2 of them where water can potentially find a way through. And one final reason why we do that is to establish the clay core to seal the levee. We definitely do some research on some soil studies and stuff in the area to give us an idea what we're going to run into before we approach the design and everything. But I will say for sure that I'll show you what some of these soil studies look like too, and how I find them and access them. But at the same time, one of the main reasons why we do this is to strip off the topsoil, strip any waste material back, the spoils, and get down to good clay material in that keyway. And the clay material that we're going to have in the levee will make a good connection and a good bond to that existing clay. So your core of your levee, your whole entire levee, doesn't have to be clay, just your core. So what we mean by that is what I'll show you here in this image. Just your central area needs to be clay, but it doesn't have to be. Keep that in mind. It doesn't have to be. You just need to establish that keyway. You need to establish that the core as best you can, and then once you get your levee in place, you can line your levee in the bottom of your pond with clay. Now that's another option as well, but in this situation we're going to assume that we have good clay, we have good material to build a good solid core out of, and that's what we're going to do. And from what we can see so far, we've done a couple of test holes, and once you dump it, the dirt comes out and it's the exact shape of the bucket, and it doesn't fall apart. It is some great great material. And sorry, I was watching to make sure we don't hit this little power line. It's a dead line, by the way. Show you where we kind of pinned up the cable. That this used to be an old arena. They had some lights around it, but we're gonna assume we've got plenty of clay, and that's how we're gonna approach this project. All right, guys, you can see where I come off of there and starting to go deeper now to find that clay. There's quite a bit of sand and mush right there. I'm hoping it's isolated that one area, because I see a ton of water coming in too. I don't know if there's a spring right there or if it where a ditch used to be. And when they cut this arena in up here, they kind of just push some of the overburden into this area. But we're gonna do a little exploring and finding out. But that depth I had to get through there was to get down and find a good clay base to where we could put us a core in. So you can see already, we already got it about halfway filled up. So what he's doing is kind of backing in and dumping, and he'll spread it and on his way back out. And once we get up to this point, under the power line right here, we're just kind of throwing some dirt out right here to the side, and he's kind of pushing it in, filling it in this area and working his way on back. And then he'll run across it with a dump truck and start another round. So essentially what we're doing is getting all of our compaction out of our dump truck as we're running across to get this core and this keyway tied in. Guys, you can see right across here, I outlined a circle. I stopped in the middle with the excavator, stopped right here in the middle with the excavator, and I just reached my bucket out and made a perfect circle all the way around. This is gonna be the widest part of the pond. So I made this thing all the way around to make an island. This right through here is gonna be the access to the island. And all of this is going to be brought up probably 4 to 5 feet. So what I'm doing now is kind of coming around while you see Matt over there working on tying in the keyway and the core that we've already got going. He's doing some work on that so we can make that into an access road. So while he's doing that, I jumped over here to work on the island. So what I'll do is just one of the features that we're going to have in the pond. But I'm working outside of that circle. I'm gonna make about a 2-foot cut and slope it up the edge of the circle that I marked, so it'll give me a perfect slope all the way around this circle. And that'll be as deep as I go. So once you have a couple feet of freeboard down the circle, then I want about 2 to 3 feet of water. So that's gonna put me about 5 feet. So if I fill it up to here, I'm already getting close to that 5 feet by taking out that couple feet of dirt. So it's probably a little bit over, but what I'm gonna do when I get down to that point, then I'm gonna stair step out about, I don't know, maybe a dozer width, and then stair step on down to the depth. That way it'll give us that ring of vegetation around the island that you can fish. And we'll do that in a lot of places around here, but for sure I want to do that around that island to create plenty of variables in the contour. All right guys, let me give you a little update what we got going on over here. show you what Matt's doing with this this anchor trench. So guys, you can see what we're doing right here. We trenched this whole thing out. The dirt's not terrible, but there's a seam of topsoil through there where they built this arena at this like rodeo arena. So they just kind of leveled it out and covered up that topsoil. So we got to cut that seam of topsoil, you know, organic material out of there, get down to some good clay. So what Matt's doing is widening it, well, not widening it out, but he's smoothing it out so we can back the dump truck down to that end and start dumping some clay and build that core all the way out until we get flush, and then we're going to use it for a road. So we're getting all that compaction on it. So we're just going to keep repeating that process until we get this side over here built up to grade, and then we're going to use that for a road, like I was saying. So the more traffic we put on it, the tighter it's going to get, and we're going to get back to the back corner right off in there and start working on it. But we wanted to get this first section done so we can use it for a road and run across it and get it all tied in and packed in. All right, guys, so you can see right out through here. This is all of this is that big wide trench that Matt was backing down into earlier, and you can see we've already built it all the way back up to grade with solid clay, and it's compacted and tight and hard. And we have a little overburden there on each side of it. Everything to the left over here is already sloped to grade for the back side of the levee. So you can see how once we bring this on up higher to the top of about that line of dirt right there, the top of it is the height of our levee. So we'll just bring that clay core up another 3 feet or so, and we'll have a clay core through and through, and no water's gonna make it through that. It'll be impossible. And it won't go anywhere forever. I mean, it's there forever. So that part right there, I mean, it would take us no time, and we could wrap up this section of levee in an hour and have it done and completed. But temporarily, while we're using it for a road and moving stuff around, I'm trying to keep things kind of flat and level so we can get around with our dump truck. Now, the second thing, or the other thing that we did, is Matt's putting in the island that I showed you on the drawing. So I kind of went and sloped it all out with the excavator, and he's going and tying it all in and dressing it up. And kind of over to the right where he's headed right now is where I'm gonna put in a little earth bridge, or really it's gonna be like a peninsula, kind of going and tying into the shoreline. And then right down over here in front of us, let me swing this thing around. Right over here in front of us, you can see where we've got a cut, and we've already started a row of excavation. Let's see here, but you can see the clay. I mean, that first area right to there, that good red stuff, that's great clay. And then there's some good gray colored clay. And then once you get down towards the bottom, it starts to turn into more of a shell. But you can see right there though, that's our first cut. And everything over on this side right here, we're gonna be able to take just the excavator and flip it up, clay and all, and finish coring out this part of the levee. And everything on this side, we're gonna be sloping it towards the inside and excavating it and hauling it to the backside. So this is kind of where we're started at, what we've got done today. So we're gonna clean up our roads real quick and do some dirt hauling and start cutting away at this today. And I'll give you another update tomorrow as we make All right, y'all, got a little update where we're at. Everything you can see across there on the other side where the dump truck is about to go across over here is up to elevation for the water level and has a core clay all the way down from solid clay up to the top. And it's probably 10 feet wide, at least as wide as the dump truck, because you saw where we were backing down in the trench. So all of the dirt you see right out here in the middle is all spoils, just our overburden that we stripped off to get to good clean clay. This lighter colored material down here at the bottom is clay as well, but it starts to get to a little bit softer clay, but that's hitting the depth that we want in the pond. So essentially you can see like all of this is wide open pond. We're going to take these spoils right here and flip them to the side for the inside of the levee, because you can see where we have a sheer wall there, and that was from trying to claim all of that clay that we could to throw up to the core. We don't need it on the inside of the levee because we have such a big thick core through there. And then this out here in front of me, you can see where the island feature that we're putting in, and we're bringing all this down to a tier, to a little terrace, and then around. So we're working on those slopes and those levels too. So guys, you can see we're making a ton of progress in a short amount of time. I bet we're already 25% on completed cored out levee. And you saw already too, some of the parts that we've already cored out was taking on water, was full of topsoil. We had to go extra deep, and that's some of the worst spots. So I feel like we're right on schedule, maybe slightly ahead. So looking good so far. Just want to give y'all another update. So guys, you can see up here on this high end how we're hitting clay a lot faster. So we've already cored this backside over here down about 5 feet deep and filled it full of clay about a dozer wide, and been running over with the dump truck all the way up. But right through here, I mean, I'm throwing some clay back into the trench once I dig it out. But I mean, I'm about 12 inches deep before I'm hitting clay, and then I'm going another 18 to 24 inches cutting a keyway in. But we're up here on the high side of the pond, and the levee up here is maybe going to be 2 or 3 feet tall at the most. But I wanted to give you all a little update where we're at. Well, guys, we're slowly making some progress. Hey, part of the life, the AC went out on the excavator, so a little sweaty and hot right now, but man, look at all that prettiness behind us back here. Another angle at this clay core that we got in here. I'll show it to y'all from this side. Got this pond rolling. All right, guys, I know this video's been a little spotty, but we've been grinding it out here. We got a little rain coming this weekend, so we've been trying to stay focused on the pond and get it done. But I still want to give you all a little update on this levee building process and getting the clay core in and everything. So I want to give you guys a little peek at the progress we got so far. I think it's coming along pretty good. We're probably 40% complete on the pond, maybe half. But you guys, let us know what you think. Here, let me flip you around so you can take a look at it. First off, you can see this stuff is hard. This top of this levee is compacted hard. I mean, just run that dump truck over, you're not gonna get it any more dense than what it is, or any more density out of it. Let's pan on around here, show you guys what we've been doing. We're starting to put a little bit of finishing touches on it. But all that levee work you saw happening was going down right through here. So in total, I'd say we got at least 8 feet deep by 10 feet wide right through here. Pure clay, compacted in 12-inch lifts all the way out to the top. Dump truck running across it the whole time. We're at exactly 12 feet surveyed with the laser. That's not just eyeballing the slope. It is exactly 12 feet deep. Got a little point right out there. Got this little terrace shelf all the way around it. What you see right here is a part that I kind of designed in, widened it out, so it's got a little bit of a larger flat in this area. But for the most part, all the way around the perimeter, it's gonna have a terrace that's 8 feet wide, 3 feet deep in the water. And the reason why we do it like that, on some of these ponds, you can see right down through here, is to control vegetation. Down here in Louisiana, 3 feet of water, you're gonna be prone to some vegetation, but it's gonna be limited. We don't, if this thing was 3 feet wide all the way across, this whole area through here would end up filling up with vegetation and just covering your pond. So we put these little shelves in here to control where we want the vegetation to be. So if you're walking around fishing, this area right through here is gonna have a little more vegetation to fish than other spots. If you notice the house up on the hill, all this used to be a rodeo arena, and now it's a pretty cool little pond in the works. We're not even close to being done, but we want this area right through here to be real clean and neat. A lot of clean open water without a lot of grass and vegetation, lily pads, whatever. So when they look down at it from the house, they're seeing clean water. Now, if you see right there, we got a little island that we're putting in. It's not really an island, it's a peninsula, but we're calling it the island. And you kind of walk out to it through a peninsula. But essentially everything on the backside is gonna be more focused on fishing and fish habitat. It's still gonna have the deep areas. Still gonna have the deep areas, but the plans with it is to have it more focused on fishing and fish habitat. So it's gonna have more of these larger shelves, more of these flat areas, and it's gonna have, the way I'm kind of thinking about taking it is doing more of a creek channel running down, I talk with my hand so you can see my hand. More of a creek channel, like running down through the inside with some little fingers coming off, and on the edge of those little fingers is where you're going to have the larger flats where we want some vegetation and grass to grow.
So I am standing on the finished peninsula, and this is what I see to the right of the peninsula. Going to the edge, just walking around, trying not to sink in the clay. It looks so cool. Videos can't do it justice, but I just want to kind of let y'all see what I'm seeing.